Hello and welcome to this live streaming from the Tribune network. I'm Rohit Bhan. We're coming to you live from the Tribune headquarters here in Chandigarh. Disappointment for millions of cricket fans across the world. The fifth and final cricket test match between India and England has been called off. India was leading the series 2-1. The Indian team has been gripped by the COVID-19 scare. The assistant physio yesterday reporting was detected with COVID-19, and now today reports coming in from London spoke of many Indian players expressing their apprehensions on playing the fifth test match given the cases that have surfaced in the Indian camp. I'm joined by my sports editor Rohit Mahajan. Rohit, big disappointment. But tell us a little, is there any clarity on, there was initial reports from PGI that the match has been forfeited, but now ECB withdrawing that statement.
Yeah, it's something of a developing story. Right. So I think we should, before pronouncing a final judgment, we probably need to wait a bit. But it's very clear, there are a few facts are very clear. The match is not going to happen. Right. It's going to disappoint millions of fans across the world, especially India and England. And it seems that the players, some of the senior players were reluctant about playing this match. Right. And there's a possibility, and I actually suspect that somebody else also may have got, because yesterday the news that we got from England was that all the players had tested negative. Right. It's possible that somebody else also tested positive after that. Otherwise, I would imagine that they would have wanted to go on and play this test match. So those things are absolutely clear. There was some lack of clarity about the status of the match. Has India forfeited it, or has the match been simply cancelled? So if India have forfeited the match, that it means that the series ends 2-2. But if the match has been cancelled due to unavailability of players, then India win 2-1. So there's a bit of clarification about that. When the agency report came, they actually were quoting the ECB statement, which actually used the word forfeit earlier. But now the ECB has withdrawn the statement, withdrawn that particular word, forfeit, and now it's simply saying that the match has been cancelled and they are in discussion with the BCCI. You can imagine that BCCI would not want the match to go down as a defeat for India. Right. So apparently there are some negotiations happening over this, but that's the situation.
But what do the rules say? It's a very unprecedented situation.
Yeah.
The cricket has never witnessed COVID-19 scare, so it's a sort of an unprecedented situation. So do we have some sort of rules which help us come to a conclusion on when a match is cancelled, what happens?
Yeah, as you're saying, it's an unprecedented situation. We are not young enough, old enough to remember, right. But in the mid-70s, at one time, several Indian players were injured against West Indies, and then Indian captain Bishan Singh Bedi declared the innings closed, and India could not field 11 batsmen. Right. And India lost the match. Now this is, as you say, unprecedented situation. If players are not available, in normal course of circumstances, then the team would forfeit the match. Right. But these are extraordinary circumstances. Right. And if it's not a matter of one player getting infected, if a player is carrying an infection which is not detected, and if he plays in the match, then he puts about 22 players in danger, right. Apart from staff. Right. So I would imagine that we at the Olympic Games we had some clarity about that. Right. That if a certain number of players or if a few players in the team got infected, for instance in hockey, right. Then they had conditions that we'll do this. Right. There's lack of clarity in cricket about that. Right. So as the statement from the ECB says, they are in discussions about this. ECB would want the match to go in their favor, and the BCCI would want the match to be declared as cancelled. Negotiations are happening. So, but I would imagine that they would need to look at the situation in a sympathetic manner. If a team is actually really unable to field a team, in these circumstances, it's not that somebody has got injured.
Right.
It's an infection. And so if a team is unable to field 11 players, then I think it would be unfair to call it a loss for that team.
Also, with there's IPL coming up, there's World T20 Championship coming up. Given these COVID-19 scare, what does it augur well for these tournaments, or do you think by cancelling this Test match, India was not willing to take that risk? Because if some of the players would have carried this virus, it could have impacted other tournaments as well. So tell us, what does it mean for the tournaments which are coming up?
The IPL this year, which is going to be continued, it was being played in India.
Right.
And from the statements of the players, it seems the arrangements were not as tight as they were last year in the UAE. And I would imagine that if the tournament is played in the UAE this time around, as it is going to be, the World Cup and the IPL as well, I think the bio bubble there would be absolutely secure. But about this event, this series, the situation has changed in the UK, and people have been actually going out and going to the cricket matches, football matches. They've been going to the pubs, and but the danger of that is that if a team actually, which needs to be in secure environment all the time, if actually a team is exposed to that, it can spell doom for that team. Already a few footballers across Europe have tested positive. And earlier in this tour, only Rishabh Pant also had got infected. And he came back and he played the Test series. So I think it was extremely negligent on the part of the team.
Right.
I mean, the head coach, no less.
Absolutely.
The head coach releasing his book in a public place. Generally, all such events happening on camera, online. To do that in a closed environment, in a hotel in London, where outside public was also allowed, that I would say was quite irresponsible.